Do I regret smoking weed? Do I regret taking ecstasy? Do I regret doing lines? Do I regret doing salvia? Do I regret doing acid? Do I regret doing mushrooms? Do I regret all the drugs, all the alcohol I did in the past? No, I don't regret it, because it's shown me that I really don't want that. So now I don't need to think about it. I don't need to like fantasize about, ooh, it'd be nice to take that drug. That's out of my mind now. My mind is freed up to think about health and vitality. My mind is freed up now to think about what I want to create in this world, rather than what I want some drug to make me think or feel, you know? When you take drugs, you become a victim to the drug. The drug enforces its feeling upon you. But when you're not on drugs, when you're living on fresh fruits and green juice and perhaps some medicinal mushrooms and you know, raw natural foods that you find in nature, when you're living on that, you don't have drugs in your system, then you're able to fall asleep really gracefully at night. You're able to wake up fully energized, and you're able to take off like a rocket and get stuff done. Productivity becomes your drug of choice. At least it has for me. Productivity is now my drug of choice. And I'm so glad that I did those drugs in the past, because I realized that, yeah, there's more to life than just this state we're in now, than just this conscious, sober state. When you take drugs, you enter altered states of reality. And I found that whenever I was on, let's say, drugs, I don't really want to call them drugs, let's say drugs like mushrooms, I found that when my mood was great, everything in life was great. Like, exaggeratedly great. Like, when my mood was really good, everything was just so beautiful. And then when I was in like a scary state, or like a anxious state on mushrooms, everything was horrible. Like, the world was just doom and gloom, and I felt like committing suicide. So it's completely exaggerated the way I was feeling. But the same was even on acid. Like, when I was taking LSD, I found that when I was really happy or grateful about something, anything was possible. Anything was possible. I could create absolutely anything. And when I was indecisive about something, like, my reality showed that. I remember I was on a bus one time, and I was like peaking on acid, and it was a SkyTrain, like one of those electrical buses, and the SkyTrain stopped, and I wondered if I should get off or not. And as I was thinking about getting off, the doors opened, and I was like, nah, I don't really want to get off. The doors closed, and I was like, but I do want to get off. And then the doors opened again. I was like, but I don't want to get off. Doors closed again. I was like, maybe I should get off. The doors opened again. I was like, I'm controlling my reality. Straight up, with my thoughts, with my feelings. And this happened across the board, not just with acid, not just with mushrooms, but this was also the case with peyote and other drugs. So drugs really show you how much of a creator you really are. But you don't need the drugs to create. I don't need the drugs to create. Some people, they do some sort of, you know, paintings and musical creations while they're on substances, under the influence. But you don't need drugs or substances to turn you into a creator. Creating in a sober state is so much better, because it goes on and on and on. Your power is infinite. Whereas when you're on these drugs, you're high for a little bit, but then you come down, and you typically go down much further than how far you went up, and you stay down longer than how long you stayed up as well. So the depths, the come down is so much stronger and so much deeper on drugs, or when you're coming off drugs. It's just not worth the high. It's just not worth the high at all. You're better off creating these states naturally. You're better off changing your state of mind naturally. And drugs, they show you that there's altered states possible. But I mean, once you get the message that there's altered states possible, hang up the phone. You know, you don't need to keep going back and getting the same message over and over and over again from these drugs. Just, if you get the message once, hang up the phone, man. And you don't even need to take these substances. I'm telling you right now, you don't need to take drugs. They're not worth it. They've never been worth it. Yeah, they've shown me that altered states are possible, but you don't need to really experience that to believe it. I'm sure, like I said, you can get yourself in an altered state of mind naturally, without the use of substances, without the use of any drugs. And when you're sober, when you're healthy, when you're full of vitality, like I said, you fall asleep gracefully, and you wake up fully energized, and your dreams are actually like clearly vivid. And your mood is just so much more stable. And your productivity level is just so much more rampant. And you're able to appreciate things on a day-to-day basis, not just when you're high. Your mood is just smooth sailing when you're sober. The sober life is just smooth sailing. I used to think these straight edge punks, these straight edge people, they were like losers, you know? In the same way I thought vegans were losers. I'm like, straight edge, you're missing out on life, you know? You're missing out on not being able to experience that caffeine high. You're missing out on not being able to get drunk and just let loose. Well, guess what? You don't need caffeine to feel high. You don't need alcohol to let loose. You can let loose naturally. You can feel super focused without caffeine, without tea or coffee. It's totally within us. It's within our abilities to feel really, really good naturally. We just need to develop those abilities. And a few great ways of developing those abilities come to us when we decide that that's what we're going to do. When we decide that we're done with drugs, that's when we're going to start finding ways of altering our state of mind naturally. And one way of doing that is doing what I'm doing right now, is just creatively expressing myself, output, production, creating, making a video right now, changing my state of mind. Another thing we can do is fitness. Just drop down on the floor and do 25 push-ups. Take a little break, do another 25. Take a little break, do 20. Take a little break, do 15. Just max out your arms. Absolutely get a pump on with fitness. Or just do squats. You don't need to go down on the floor and just do push-ups. Just do squats. Or go to the gym. If you want to go to the gym, go to the gym. Fitness is an amazing way of changing your state of mind naturally. Get yourself so pumped up. Meditation. Sit down, just meditate for 1 minute, 60 seconds. If you can't meditate for 60 seconds, I honestly think that you've got to ask for help. You've got to reach out and say, hey, I need help. I can't meditate for 60 seconds. And then just focus on being able to control your mind rather than let your mind control you. Once you can meditate for 60 seconds, you'll be like, wow, that was great. Let's do 2 minutes. Then after you do 2 minutes, you're like, holy crap, that was so good. Let's double it up, bro. Let's do 4 minutes. Next thing you know, you've been doing 20, 25 minutes, half hour, 45 minutes, whatever. It's just, you've got to start somewhere. And meditation is an amazing way of optimizing your state of mind naturally. Another fantastic way is breath work. With 60 seconds of rapid breathing, just mostly focusing on the inhale. Just totally saturate your lungs and your cells with oxygen, alkalizing oxygen. It's a great way of boosting your immunity. And once you've saturated your cells with oxygen with 60 seconds of those deep inhales, then you just exhale everything completely and you hold that for 30 seconds. So after 30 seconds of that, you inhale one more time, just a nice big deep one. Bring it all in again and hold that for 15 seconds. And that's one round of breath work. So each round of breath work takes about 1:45. You can do 3 or 4 rounds of that. Your state of mind is so different. You're so much more pumped up. You feel so much more vital, so much more energized, so much more focused, so much healthier. And you just have this overwhelming sense of, wow, I feel good. Like, you start to question, like, what drug am I on right now? And you realize, oh, I'm not on any drug. I didn't take any drug this morning. Didn't take any drug last night. I feel good naturally. I feel good the way nature intended me to feel. I feel good because I'm living in line with nature's design. I feel good because I'm eating from the vine. That's why I'm feeling divine. This is how it works on planet Earth, man. As a human being, as a living animal on this planet, we have the ability, we have total capabilities of changing the way we feel on a moment-to-moment basis, on a day-to-day basis. And our days become our weeks. If you can just master your day, that'll become your whole week. You just multiply that day by 7. And then once you master the week, you have a solid week, guess what? Do it again the next week. Do it again the next week. That becomes your entire month. Then you can do that 12 times in a year. You have an amazing year. And then once you do something solid for a year, once you feel freaking amazing for a year, there's no going back. Unless you slip up and you lose focus and you start going down the rabbit hole in the wrong direction. But then you can easily get yourself back on track. And I think that's a problem a lot of people have. They get on track, they're feeling amazing, whether it's with no fap or whether it's with early nights or whether it's with raw veganism or whether it's with fitness. And then they fall off track and they don't get back on track. They fall off track and they're like, oh, I failed. What's next? No, if something is amazing and you fall off track, instead of asking what's next, you think, how do I get back on track? ASAP. You get back on track. Just find something that works, go to it, and if you slip up, just get back on track. There's no problem. The amount of times I've screwed up eating raw, no problem, just get back on track. Most of that screw-ups, they happen in those first few months, definitely the first year or so. After that, the screw-ups become less and less frequent. But even if they do happen, you just get back on track. It's no problem. Same with meditation. I just recently did 200 and, well, it's kind of a bad example, but we'll use it anyway. I just did 257 straight days of meditation using my Headspace app. But really, the 257 days of meditation that's said on the app, really I had done like 300 plus days of meditation. It's just, I screwed up using the app one day. I used it too late at night or something, and it didn't calculate the days, so it didn't transfer over, and I got reset back to 0 days or whatever. So I got back on the track right away, and I get to 256 days. And then same thing happened just recently. I used the app too late at night or something. It didn't calculate. It didn't say I did it within the 24-hour span, which it did. I don't know why it said it didn't. Anyways, I woke up one morning and my app was at 0 again. So maybe I did screw up. Maybe I didn't do it within 24 hours. But whatever. I was doing it every night, so I'm not sure why it didn't work. But point is, I got reset back to 0. The next day, I was like, screw that app, man. Screw this Headspace app. I'm not using that anymore. It freaking knocked me back down to 0 again. I'm not using that. The day after that, though, I got back on track. I did meditate anyway, but the day after that, I got back on track with that Insight app. And I've been using Insight app every day now since. But even with Insight, I messed up. I missed a day on Insight. Next day, no problem. Get right back on track. So these apps that help you keep streaks, they're a great tool to use. If you can find a meditation app that you like that allows you to count your streaks, your days in a row, highly recommend using it. Highly recommend using them. If you fall off track, just get right back on track. All right. Well, I gotta bounce. I obviously need a haircut, right? So I'm gonna go get a haircut. Now, it might not be too obvious to other people. Nobody really cares about my haircut, so I have to care for myself. Self-care, self-love. All right, peace out, much love. I'll see you in the next video.